Greetings and welcome to the fourth and final Christmas live stream of 2021. And I cannot believe it's been 3 weeks since we had Luke Reynolds and the Crazy Dutchies on doing this for the first time. The time has just flown by, but here we are, number 4. We're looking at 1983. And as always, we have more great guests to join in the fun. So this week, we are joined by, first of all, Grindhead Jim. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Dean. How's it going?
Very good, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. My whole week has been leading up to this. I've been really stoked. It's something where it's going to really help me get into the season, and I can't say thank you enough for doing it. I'm going to get that out of the way.
Awesome. Well, you're absolutely welcome. So next up, we have someone that everyone knows, despite never having made his own YouTube video, the most famous YouTuber, Scuba Pete. Hey, Pete.
Get in there. Why aren't you? Oh, hey. Hey, what's up?
Hey, Pete. How are you?
I'm good. Just pouring a little Christmas cheer.
Yeah, I should point out I'm drinking it as well, but in my case, it's purely a medicinal application. Trying to fight off this cold, of course. Can't beat that. So anyway, last of all, we have someone who made their YouTube debut last night, making his first video, and we're glad he did. It's Gojitron.
Woohoo!
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Indeed. Hey, Carl, how are you?
I'm good. How's everyone doing today?
Good.
All good. And what I think I'll do is, obviously, the very nature of these live streams means that I'm not able to get to each and every comment. Just impossible, I'm afraid. But what I'll do is I'll try and get to as many of the sort of hellos to see who's all watching today. First up, we have Zantara, who's looking forward to this. Good to see you. Will from New Zealand. He's got to work, but will watch later. Merry Christmas to you as well, Will. Bjorn, of course, is here. These have been fun, yeah. Jim Largo, good to see you. And as always, we have our youngest viewer, the 1980s and Star Wars guy. Good to see you too. Velvet Platts. Merry Christmas from British Columbia, Canada. Good to see you. Chris is here. Hey, everyone. Already part 4 of the series. Time flies. Great show so far, Dean. Thank you. Yes, time does fly. It's just insane how fast this year has gone by. Michael Schaefer, good to see you. I've got glasses for filling and beer that's chilling. So be of good cheer. It's the most wonderful time for a beer. Yes, it is.
Sheer poetry.
I see what Daniel, you did there.
Hey, Carl. Kieran is here. And you were typing away behind the scenes.
I'm multitasking.
Yeah. Looking forward to listening along. Currently traveling, so won't be able to chat, but we'll be listening. Okay, I hope we don't keep. Well, obviously, part of it will be a bit visual, but for the most part, it'll be just us yapping along. Just trying to see if any other names pop up here that I need to get to. Samantha is here. Another regular. Good to see you. Sunny Frisch. Ahoy. And George, another regular. Yeah. Good to see you, George.
George Aiken.
And another regular. Oops, took that out there. George, good to see you. Keith Knight. Hello there, Keith.
Hi.
Biker Scout. Hey, Dean and everyone. Hope you are looking forward to Christmas. Yeah, of course, always. And greetings and salutations from the wonderful Jody. And I think we've got Bob Squad is here.
Hey, Bob.
Merry Christmas.
Hey,
saying hello to everyone. Scott Hughes is here. Good to see you, Scott.
Wolverines!
Yeah. And Pontiac Bandit. Merry Christmas. Hey. Ben says evening all.
Hey,
Soundwave. Howdy. Ty, hey.
Hey.
And Neil, 83, great Christmas for Star. Yes, it was. And in fact, on my video coming out tomorrow, you will see that 83 was my Star Wars Christmas. That was what it was all about in 83 for
I'd like
me.
to point out that Neil's name reminds me of the young ones. Neil.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's in my head.
Blake, good to see you. Let's go. Merry Christmas, all. Dean, amazing show. Thank you. You saved Christmas with this show. Thank you. Boba Hicks, hello, everyone. Kieran is here. Toy Connections, good to see you. And oh my God, there's so many here. Merry Christmas to you and family. Mark says, howdy. Chicken Man. Hey guys, this is my favorite year. Good to hear it. And I think we're all. This is so hard to keep up with. It's just too many people commenting, which is a good thing, of course. Oh, and it wouldn't be a live stream without one of these. Just cause. Thank you so much, Cody. Just like we all have Christmas traditions, you have your live stream traditions. And I'm going to apologize if I don't get to your comment. I need to, keep this moving, but I think we've said hello to each other. So our first segment now for you guys, this is the first time I don't have another Brit on the panel. So what I'm going to show you that was shown on BBC One may have no relevance to you whatsoever, but to make up for that, I did find the primetime listings for American TV in 83. So we'll go through the BBC and then we'll look at what was shown on primetime American TV, and we'll kick off with the intro. So, as I've said in all these streams up until this point, Christmas on the BBC and indeed ITV in the UK was a big, big deal. And we would get our radio times and TV times in advance and circle all the shows we wanted to watch. And in particular, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day were the best days for TV. As I covered Christmas Day in my Christmas videos last year, I'm looking at Christmas Eve to keep things fresh. Now, when looking for the American TV listings, what did I only go and find? I found the ITV listings for all the decades. If I'd found that sooner, I would definitely have done ITV on Christmas Day in the UK. But you know what? That's for next year's live streams. So anyway, so we have material for next year already, which is a good thing.
And the year after, so you can do Christmas Day and Christmas Eve ITV.
Yeah. Yeah, all 10 years of the decade. So there's a plethora of material for next year. And as I've said, or as viewers have said, ITV had the best movies at Christmas Day. But again, next year we'll talk about those. So first things first, we're going to look at what the BBC was giving us on Christmas Eve. So, can you see that, guys? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Let me. Yeah. Oh, hey, there it is.
Okay. So the Inch High Private Eye, I'm assuming was a cartoon of some sorts. I have no recollection of that whatsoever.
I remember that one. That's an American cartoon.
Ah, okay.
Yep. Yeah, okay, that's from the 70s.
Was it any good?
Not really.
Okay.
That was Hanna-Barbera, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Private eyes, they're watching you. Oh.
So next up at 9 a.m., we had From All of Us to All of You, and Jiminy Cricket was a Disney cartoon character. So I guess it was just like a selection of Disney sort of Christmas-themed cartoons for 45 minutes.
Nice.
Not the worst thing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more of an animated version or adaptation of the Disney Christmas album that came out either the year before or that year, which I had.
Okay.
So there was a great fist fight with Donald Duck and Chip and Dale. Can't miss it.
Going to jump in and say a big thank you to James Salzberg for the super chat. Thank you so much. Slinging Mustang and Jeep parts, but wishing Merry Christmas to all you handsome men. Well, thank you so much.
Likewise, sir.
Very kind
Merry
of you.
Christmas.
The happy world of Hanna-Barbera. That was almost an hour's. In fact, it was over an hour's worth. Yogi Bear, Fred Flintstone, Scooby-Doo, Huckleberry Hound, and literally thousands more. Well, I doubt it was thousands more, but we get their point.
Like Wild Scoob.
Yeah. Pretty cool. A bit of weather for you for 2 minutes. Then we had the feature film, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, starring Bing Crosby.
Ooh.
I've not
Nice.
seen that.
Nothing that screams 80s like Bing Crosby.
Yeah.
Love Big.
Yeah.
Give me a little Holiday Inn.
Yeah. So then we had Bonanza, the Luck of Pepper Shannon. Now, Bonanza, was that the sort of Western?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yes,
There
Yeah,
was.
I vaguely recall that.
Lauren Green in Bonanza.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Noted
then
dog
we-
food salesman in the U.S.
Right. Around the World with Dot is a Yuletide adventure in colorful animation starring Drew Forsyth. I don't recall this at all. Nope. 2:30, The Magic of Lassie. So I do remember Lassie. And am I right in saying it always ended on a sad note somehow?
No, Lassie saved the day.
Yeah, but it always looked like what?
Yeah.
Timmy's in a well. Let's go. You know.
Or am I thinking of the other one? The
Are you
Legal
thinking of
Hobo?
Old Yeller?
Because I remember one of these dog shows always, as you say, the dog saved the day, but then had to sort of disappear on their own off into the horizon. Or was that the Hulk?
I think that was the Hulk.
That was the Hulk. He always
Yeah. Yeah. So the Magic of Lassie. Then look at this. Dukes of Hazzard. Coy versus Vance.
Nice.
Very nice. And of course, Daisy, played by Catherine Bach. Evening News with Jan Leeming. I do remember her. I don't expect you'll know who that is. I'm going to have to jump back over here for 1 second and say a huge thank you to Gerard. Thank you for all what will no doubt be a great time as always. Well, thank you so much. Very, very kind of you. Thank you. Regional variation. So Some Mothers Do Have 'Em was a Michael Crawford comedy. Did he ever make it big in America?
I'm aware of him for sure.
Right.
I will say that I'm really glad they have the synopsis of what the movie is about or what the series is about, because that title could be a lot of different things, even on British television.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very, very happy they have the synopsis.
Pop quiz. This was a great show that featured the pop stars of the day in a quiz contest. So this episode featured Roger Taylor of Queen with
Nice.
Lamal of Kajagoogoo and Midure of Ultravox on one team against Dave Edmonds. I don't know who that is, to be honest. Mary Wilson, I remember, and Lee John, who played with Imagination, were the other team. To be honest, I'm more on Team 1 than Team 2 in terms of who I remember.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm all about that Roger Meadows Taylor life, man.
Yeah. Little and Large. Now, this is a classic case of me remembering Little and Large as being an ITV pairing. Evidently, they were on the BBC. So this was just like, comedy, and they featured Joe Brown, who I think was an impressionist, Jimmy Cricket, who was an Irish comedian, Martin Daniels, the son of magician Paul Daniels, and Cleo Rokos, who I think was the sexy broad that was on the Kenny Everett show, and Chaz and Dave, a couple of Cockney piano and bass duos who did a lot of like comedy songs. So this was like sort of good humored family.
Wasn't Kenny Edwards the guy that you were mentioning for that Cleo? Theo Rocco's.
Kenny Everett, yeah.
Kenny Everett was the one that leaked Bohemian Rhapsody on the radio, right?
That's correct, yes. Yep. The movie, Flash Gordon.
Nice.
Now,
That's a good
I
one.
remember we taped this, and I watched this numerous times on VHS, having recorded it. And with it being on the BBC, there were no commercial breaks. Perfect.
Ooh, glorious.
How peaceful it looks.
Yeah. So Val Doonican's Christmas Party. So Val Doonican was and I think he was Irish, but he was a crooner, and had a real sort of family Christmas show with sitting around the fire singing Christmas songs. It was all good stuff. And the guests, Howard Keel, I remember the name, but don't remember who he is. But the Nolans were the sisters who were the singers, big in the 70s. And Wall Street Crash. Don't know who they were, but good family entertainment. Bergerac was a detective show based on the Jersey Islands, just off the UK. Bit of news. The Good Old Days was a celebration of music hall favorites. Again, more sort of family entertainment, I guess. Not something I would have enjoyed back then.
Yeah.
And the Eucharist for Christmas. Probably I would be in bed at this point, so that wouldn't have been of much concern to me. And then we ended up with a bit of weather. So not bad. I think probably better than some of the other years I've looked at. So that was the BBC. Now, if I go back, and we can then show you something that you guys would be a bit more familiar with, which is the fair thing
Allegedly.
to do. Yeah. Because I'm sure most of that doesn't make any sense to you guys. However, this...
A little.
It's the same language. It's not,
Yeah, true. So, and this really surprised me. So, they only had listings for 4 channels, and they only gave us the primetime listings.
Yep.
So, ABC gave us a repeat of TJ Hooker, then a repeat of The Love Boat,
Ooh.
and then a repeat of Fantasy Island.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah. CBS had a new show, Cutter to Houston, Tell Me a Riddle, Daddy. And their movie was The Children Nobody Wanted.
On Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
What?
Upbeat stuff.
We're going to have the happiest Christmas.
Yeah. And
I don't think Danny Kaye was in that one.
no.
Nah.
We gave all the children
NBC gave us Different Strokes, then a repeat, of course, a repeat of Silver Spoons, and then Manimal, which I remember watching that.
Yes, I guarantee that's what we were watching.
That was like, what was it? Simon McCorkindale, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Pre-Jaws 3. Pre-Jaws 3.
And then
Jaws 3 killed his career.
The Yellow Rose, which was a repeat. So my question is, what was shown prior to prime time? Was it just reruns of other stuff, or?
Well, typically, at least in the Northeast, I can only speak for where I was at, which was like Pennsylvania, Ohio, Massachusetts. At this time, I was in Ohio, like Cleveland area. And it would follow in other states I was in. Usually, you'd have the news around 6 p.m. You'd have some syndication stuff until around 7:30 or 8, depending, unless it was like a Sunday night, you had like a 60 minutes or something. Right. And then 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock is when your network stuff would start until the news at 11. That's pretty much how it went. And then from typically anyway, on a weekday, especially from, morning news up until evening news, it was kind of whatever they wanted, but it was usually syndicated game shows up until lunch. And then you had your talk shows and soaps going into the afternoon.
Right. But
pretty regimented.
I'm pretty surprised that there was no dedicated Christmas content being shown.
I would presume that at that time they were probably thinking, well, they're going to be doing Christmas Eve stuff. They're not going to be watching television. And then the Manimal guys were like, F that. We're going to put a new episode out and make them watch on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, because at least in the UK, they did have shows that were specific to Christmas. really sort of get you in the mood. But you know, what was that movie? The kids that or the kids that nobody wanted.
Yeah, what?
Well, they would, in my recollection, especially in the 80s, they would dole out the Christmas specials a few a week over the weeks leading up, as opposed to just dropping everything on you right before.
Yeah, it'd be like, hey, tonight's Frosty at 8. You know,
You'd have Frosty
Christmas
one
on
night.
Wednesday night.
Right, Rudolph, like all the Rankin Bass stuff, Peanuts, Looney Tunes, Star Wars, other stuff would pepper through.
Right.
The Grinch.
So do you guys have any vivid memories of TV at Christmas time growing up that you want to share?
It was
every year for me, it was the Rankin Bass specials. I would go through the TV guide for December, all through the month of December, and circle when all the holiday specials were on, and I'd make a little list. And because when I was growing up, it was the days before home media or even cable television, so that was appointment viewing. If you missed Rudolph or Frosty or the Grinch that year, you had to wait 365 days for another chance to see it. So Christmas was appointment viewing time.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back in my case, I think 83 would have been probably the first year we got a VCR. And like I said earlier, I remember my dad recording Flash Gordon that I watched numerous times throughout the year of 84. So was cable TV a thing in 83?
Oh, yeah, right. But it was definitely, but at that time, it felt like it was, for lack of a better term, was kind of a classist thing because, middle class and lower, it was really expensive at that point, like way even higher than today, which is still ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so, like, all the rich kids I knew had cable, or just people that had less kids. And then, of course, I would never be at their house. So cable was there. It was a phenomenon for sure, but not everyone partook in it. I didn't have cable until I was well in high school, and that was fleeting because it just happened to be paid for by the landlord. That's the only reason we even had it. It was my first exposure to MTV when I was a freshman in high school, which was weird. So it really was, you were kind of a slave to the networks and whatever UHF, VHF channels that were out there, and those were always going to be all over the shop.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm thinking back, so 83 would have meant we had 4 channels in the UK at this point. And looking back, it was so much easier to plan your viewing when there were only 4 channels. Oh, yeah. Whereas nowadays, you're just spoiled for choice. You don't know what to watch, and you end up spending more time flicking than actually watching. Whereas back then, you looked at the TV guides and you knew exactly what you were going to watch and when you were going to watch it, and you kind of planned your day accordingly. It was plus TV, like I said, ITV gave us some really big movies on Christmas Day, and that for most people was the only chance to see these movies, because back in the early 80s, VHS tapes were in excess of like 70, 80 pounds to buy commercially. So for most of us, our first time seeing certain movies was on the television. So,
And, something I remember, especially on CBS, when they would have a cartoon or like a special, they had this really ornate opening, CBS special presentation. And I remember being almost more excited for that than I was for the show, because it was like, oh, okay, it means it's holidays. It means I'm going to be out of school soon. It was like the harbinger of all this stuff. I'm going to get presents. It's going to be great. And, it's been certainly parodied over time and paid homage to and so forth over the years. But I really do think that because network TV in the States was so regimented, and there really was just like, you're going to see this, you're going to see this, you're going to see this. So when they did dole something out to you that was something different, it was an event. It was special, especially as a kid. And those openings always did it for me, like hit me like, it was always great.
Oh, yeah. We would plan like shopping trips, holiday shopping, or a meal out. Like, we've got to be home by 8 o'clock because Rudolph's on. You know, when you like get in the driveway at 7:55, and we're like, "Unlock the front door! Unlock the front door!" You know, running down there to slap on the TV.
Yeah,
my sister still collects Rankin Bass like toys and memorabilia to this day.
Nice.
Particularly Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Like every time there was a new format would come out, we'd get it for her and stuff. And then late '90s, early 2000s, there was like a toy set from that with of all the characters in one big gift box that we got her, and she was over the moon. Still gets that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The other thing I thought of just now was like we would be watching that. Of course, mom and dad, you know, they're like coming and going, but a lot of times mom would be upstairs baking like fresh bread or something, and she would bring down a loaf like right out of the oven with my grandma's jam and butter, and she would just sit that, you know, and slice it all up, and that was like our big treat, you know, while we watched those holiday specials.
Awesome.
Like eating their
my dad would make ham rolls, and I never liked them myself, but he would make ham rolls with like cream cheese and chives and stuff in it. That was his big thing. And my mom was real big, and my sister were real big in the Chex Mix kind of snacky stuff.
Yeah.
I was a bit simpler. I liked the Sociables crackers from Nabisco. Still love them. Every December, I allow myself one box, and if it lasts an hour or a day or a month, I don't care. I get that one box, and I'm happy. But what I found out that I loved, and it should have been a red flag to my parents, I really loved mixing high C fruit punch with ginger ale. And I'm like 3 parts of that, 4 parts of the juice. Yeah, it's just kind of what it was. And I felt like super accomplished. I have invented a drink, you know, as far as I knew. And to this day, I experiment just as much. I just have more ingredients to work with now. That's all.
Yeah. So I'm going to say a huge thank you to Anthony, who says, "Merry Christmas to you 4 stud ponies."
Merry Christmas, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. And Jim Largo. Thank you, Jim. He has said, "Happy holidays. Love you guys. Kudos to Gojitron for having the most festive attire of today's stream." Absolutely, indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning.
My Bumble.
Stunning outfit there. And
They bounce.
Connor has jumped in and said, well, first of all, thank you, Connor. He says, "A very Merry Christmas to Dean, that wonderful panel, and the ever brilliant folks in the chat." Well, thank you, Connor. Very, very kind of you. When you were talking about rushing home to see what was being broadcast on TV, you've just reminded me of the time at Christmas. It would have been late 80s. And in the UK, the Radio 1 did a rock show with Tommy Vance was the DJ. And my mum and dad were dragging me to see the pantomime at the King's Theatre. And I wanted to stay home and listen to this rock show because they were having, I think they were broadcasting a concert of one of my favorite bands. And I was so upset that I was going to miss it. Then it occurred to me that if I set up my hi-fi with the radio tuned to Radio 1, the cassette deck with a blank tape, and play and record pressed, then I set a timer plug to the correct time. Plugged everything into the wall. Obviously, everything was off. When I got home, my show had recorded. I was so pleased with myself.
Brilliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was no other way of doing it, right? Because there weren't timers on hi-fi systems back then. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
great.
later on, even after we were a VHS household, but I was a habitual rewatcher of films. I still am. In fact, HBO Max was like, "Here, have a free digital movie for being a member since the beginning." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And what was on offer was about 7 films, and one of them was Goodfellas, which I do have on Blu-ray. 4K is notoriously out of stock, so I feel like they're going to reissue it again. I was like, well, I don't want to wait, and it had all the special features. So I got it. So leading up to this, I was watching all these special features. I'm always rewatching something. Even as a kid, it was the same thing. My dad had a stereo TV, and it got good to him that he was going to put some stereo speakers externally rather than being on the TV, so we'd have like a faux surround. And there was one on the coffee table next to the couch and one like tucked in the corner on the other side of the room where he sat. But I always took that seat, one, because I'd be able to hear the films better, but also because I could take a boombox, use a cassette to record. And what I would do when I had downtime, I would record portions of movies or TV shows or whatever, because we go on these road trips 5 to 8 hours for holidays, because usually we do Christmas morning at home and then immediately get on the road to go wherever we were going. So it was always at a premium to have something to do, pre-teen, just putting in tapes and doing all this stuff. So I was always I had like almost a whole tape collection of just movies and TV shows. And Christmas was no exception. I had the Garfield one, I had the Snoopy one, all the Rankin Bass stuff, anything I could get my hands on, just so I'd be like, Christmas, 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 Christmas for the whole thing. Pretty crazy.
Fantastic. So I think we've covered TV at Christmas time in the 80s. We're going to move on and look at the music, and I'll run the intro and I'll sort of explain to you guys why the top 10 at Christmas was so important. So in the UK, there was this big deal to see who would be the Christmas number one. And there'd be a lot of money placed on bets to try and guess who it was going to be. All the bands wanted that number one spot at Christmas. And as a result, everyone watched the final countdown of the charts prior to Christmas with anticipation, thinking, oh, is my band going to be number one? And this is now the 4th episode, and so far, the top 10 has been pretty disappointing in terms of Christmas songs. And I'm sad to say 1983 is probably the worst, but we'll quickly go through it, and then we can talk about some of our favorite Christmas songs. So anyway, the top 10 UK singles in 1983. So at number 10 was Please Don't Fall in Love by Cliff Richard. I don't suppose, was he ever popular in America?
No, with good reason. He sucks.
Well, yeah. And also, ironically, he is probably most famous for his Christmas songs, but this was not one of them. Number 9 was Let's Stay Together by Tina Turner.
That song aged well.
Yeah.
Looking at you, Ike.
Yeah. No, number 8, Islands in the Stream by Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. Yeah.
Good song.
Number 7, Tell Her About It by Billy Joel.
Tell her about it.
Yeah.
Love that song.
Yeah. Number 6, Hold Me Now by the Thompson Twins. Classic 80s song.
Stay with me.
Yeah.
Love that song.
That's good too.
Number 5, one of my favorite bands, Status Quo, with Margarita Time.
How'd that one go?
Now, with regards to this one, if you want a laugh, now, Top of the Pops was the UK's music show, broadcast every Thursday. And up until, I don't know, I'm going to say the early to mid-90s, it was all lip-syncing. Right. And if you if you YouTube Status Quo, Margarita Time, Top of the Pops, you will see guitarist Rick Parfitt high as a kite, drunk as a skunk, trying to sort of mime his guitar playing, mime his vocal delivery, and he ends up collapsing into the drum kit live on British television.
Yes, I've seen this.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah. Number 4, The Love of the Common People by Paul Young. So.
All right.
Number 3, Victims by Culture Club. I'm going to be honest, I don't mind Culture Club, but I don't recall this song at all.
I don't remember that song
either.
No. Ironically, number 2 is Slade with My Oh My, and as you know, Slade have one of the best ever Christmas songs. Absolute classic. And number 1 that year was The Flying Pickets with Only You. Have you heard of them?
With what?
Now, the Flying Pickets were an a cappella band, And my memory of them was they had the scariest looking dude in the band, this bald headed guy who wore heavy eyeliner, and he scared the crap out of me as a kid.
So you're trying to tell me an a cappella group with a scary guy was ahead of freaking Billy Joel,
Thompson Twins,
and
Yeah.
Aha, or that's
Yeah,
whoever that was.
absolutely.
Crazy.
I don't. That's
Yeah.
no.
And not only was it a cappella, it wasn't even a good song, but rather annoying. So now that that's out the way, let me hear, what are some of your favorite Christmas songs?
Favorite Christmas tunes? Of course, White Christmas. Going back to Holiday Inn.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Is there a particular version that you like over another?
Bing Crosby for me. I'm old school.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say thank you to Gerard there. And he says that Driving Home for Christmas is his favorite. And that was Chris Rea. It's a good song. Thank you, Gerard. So some more favorite Christmas songs.
I personally like Christmas and Hollis for me. I like. I'm not big on traditional Christmas music, so I'll listen to Run DMC, The Waitresses, things like that. The past several years, I've been listening a lot to the Seth MacFarlane, the Christmas Swing album that he did.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
That's a pretty good one. But I'm not big on traditional Christmas music because you hear it so much in the malls and the shopping centers and car commercials. It just becomes really disingenuous. So I usually listen to the off the beaten path type stuff.
I tended to stray away. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dean.
I was going to say very quickly, it's funny that you should mention The Waitresses, because I think it was my pre-Christmas stream, Keith Knight, who obviously plays bass, mentioned the fact that The Waitresses wrapping paper has one of the greatest bass lines. And since that comment, every time I hear that song, I just focus in on the bass line. My God, it's all over the place. There's bends and all sorts going on. It's a fantastic piece of bass work. Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
No, you're good. Growing up, my parents were kind of all over the shop. Like, they're big into oldies, but they also like the Bing Crosby. So I agree with Pete that Bing Crosby's "Dreaming of a White Christmas" is probably one of the best. But we were also, I don't want to say a classical house, but my dad had a big thing for Mantovani. Someone got him a set of 8 tracks back in the day, and I later got a CD of it, and I still have it in my collection of it. Just all Mantovani, his interpretation of Christmas stuff, which is really, really good. And that kind of got me on the train of like instrumentals and stuff. So I used to stream gameplay on Christmas traditionally, and I will stream this Christmas as well. Totally different stuff. But because of my, death metal kind of a vibe, it seemed kind of disingenuous to have just regular old Christmas songs. And I was trying to find something to bridge the gap. And I found out that the bass player from Hate Eternal had redone several traditional Christmas hymnals in a pure death metal sound with minimal vocals. And so he just takes like the symphonic stuff and translates it to just tremolo picking the and it actually sounds pretty cool, but also just a little sinister. So I always lean into that just for fun. If time someone comes over and they're not familiar that I do this, they're like, "You have any Christmas music?" I sure do. and it's fun. But there is one honorable mention, and we'll move on. But Tales from the Crypt did a Christmas album in like 89, 90. And it's like one of the songs is "We Wish You'd Bury the Missus," "Deck the Halls with Bits of Harry." Like, it's cheese upon cheese upon cheese, and it's just delightful, kiddies. I love that thing. It comes in a green see-through jewel case. The whole bit is just horrible. Love it.
So, I'm going to say another huge thank you to Rich here, who says, "Merry Christmas, Dean. Shout out for our favorite 80s Christmas vinyl, the Roger Whittaker Christmas album." Good shout. Yep. Thank you, Rich. So I've learned quite a few things this year in terms of music. I assembled a playlist on my Apple iTunes, whatever you call it these days, of just Christmas songs. And I just let it play on shuffle And it was only last year I discovered that Blue Christmas was not Elvis Presley, it was Mud. I discovered the other day that one of the songs that I've been listening to that I assumed was Elvis was in fact the UK's Shakin' Stevens. And there was something else that I didn't quite remember who it was. But I've just listened to those songs over the decades and had these assumptions made. But now that I know that it wasn't Elvis, I'm a little bit disappointed, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Still classic.
Oh yeah.
There's also a great Christmas tune that Ray Parker Jr. did. It came out on the Chartbusters album that included Ghostbusters and stuff. That's actually a really good Christmas song.
Yeah, but also for me, there are a number of songs that have quite sentimental attachments for me. One of which is every time it comes on, I do have to sort of hold back a bit, and that is Johnny Mathis, When a Child is Born, because my mum and dad were huge Johnny Mathis fans. And just hearing that opening line takes me right back to being, 4 or 5 years old in the house where everything just seems so big and life was wonderful. That's one of my favorites. Another one that I really do dig is Boney M, Mary's Boy Child. I don't know why, but as a kid, that song, I really enjoyed it. But yeah, and I think you said, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no, you talking about a song taking you right back made me think of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
My grandparents had that, and we would, every Christmas when we stayed there, we would travel. And then my brother and I would just beg them, to put that on. Grandpa would eventually lament. I mean, I think he just did it to tease us, but, he would put it on and we would just lay on the floor, and listen to it multiple times over. But yeah, on the big high.
My dad joked. Yeah. My dad joked that when I moved from Alvin and the Chipmunks onto Chip and Dale and Donald Duck doing Please Christmas, Don't Be Late. It's like, I know you're growing up. You're maturing and you've moved on to Disney now. Higher quality. And he would always like the whole thing. It's just, and then they have this, like I said before, a fist fight at the end of the song, which I just love.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It breaks out.
He would always begrudgingly let me play it at least once a day for like the week leading up to Christmas and stuff. And that one, for whatever reason, like I can visualize the living room. I'm sitting next to the stereo. The fires go on. The tree is right there. Just something about those songs. And even though they're not that great of songs and they're arguably annoying at this point, it just
takes you right.
Just flips the switch. Yeah.
Now let me ask you: am I alone in this? So for me, I can only listen to Christmas songs up until and including Christmas Day. After Christmas Day, I cannot listen to a Christmas song because it just has no more value to me at that point. And yeah, I was discussing this with Scott Hughes because he loves Christmas as much as I do. And I actually end up getting a bit sad by around about 5 p.m. on Christmas Day because I realize it's all over. It's the anticipation that is the best part of Christmas.
Yeah.
And
I still get that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Even if I'm not celebrating.
I'll break out. Like I've got this Pandora Sussex Christmas station, and it's all instrumentals like Celtic and whatnot. I'll pop that on a road trip, in the middle of July, just to change it up.
Well, at least Christmas in July. I mean, you got it out right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're going to move on to the segment that I think most people have tuned in for, and that will be Pick 3 Gifts. So I'm going to run the little intro, and
Peter.
It's 1982.
Yeah. So I'm going to run the intro and I'll explain what we're going to do. So, pick 3 gifts. Now, we're going to go through the toy section of the Argos catalogue from 1983. And as we go through each page, either make a mental note or jot it down of 3 gifts that you would have liked back in 83 or you would like now can be a combination. And at the end, we'll go through our 3 picks of what we would have loved to have had or still would love to have. So I'm going to call up the famous Argos catalog. And
every single time you say Argos, I think of Clash of the Titans every single time. I can't stop myself.
Right. Now, interestingly, and go ahead.
Oh, just high tech. I mean, state of the art.
Interestingly, when we began doing this, was it 1986 was the first year we looked at. There weren't really many home computers or consoles. 85, there were none. 84, there were some. But 83 clearly was the year of home computing. Now, this one, I am not at all familiar with, but it is by Mattel. The Aquarius. Any memories of this?
Yes. Not from my childhood, but as a retro gaming enthusiast, like this was kind of them taking what they had done with the Intellivision and trying to bridge that gap because Atari was doing a lot of computer stuff at the time. They're trying to like just compete on that level. Mattel was trying very hard. It ultimately was not very powerful and did not sell well, which is why most people don't remember it.
Okay. Interesting. Now, over here, we have, this is a Commodore VIC-20. Now, my only memory of Commodore is the 64.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So, any stories of this that you want to share, or?
VIC-20 was the predecessor. You have like one kid on the block that would have one, and he would have a bunch of bootleg games, and you just sit there and play for about 5 minutes, loads for 10 minutes, play for 5 minutes, move on, kind of thing. It wasn't quite there. That's the 64 is more well regarded because it was just a better piece of kit.
And we have to assume that these graphics are not actually from the game, which is a bit misleading.
Much too clear.
Yeah, very misleading. Now, interestingly, this the system itself was £140, which back then was a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
And games, though, the games were not so bad at £12, because I remember the Atari games being about £30 at this time, so not at all bad. Now, this one...
That was... Yeah, the VIC-20 was kind of one of those things where the savvy parent would spend the extra money to get the VIC-20 because they knew the games were cheaper. The parents that didn't pay attention got suckered into the software wars with Atari and television stuff.
Right.
Like my parents.
This is a home computer from Texas Instruments, who I think were more famous for calculators, were they not?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
This one costing how much? It's number 8. I don't see a price.
My neighbor had that one.
£150.
Yep.
At least they were honest with their graphics.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Space Invaders, one of my favorites. So that and they had the built. Is that taped? Would that be a tape deck?
Mm-mm. Cartridge slot.
Okay.
All their games were cartridges.
Just on a
cartridge. Next page, Intellivision from Mattel.
Yes.
Yeah. That was costing £99.95.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly better value for money than the previous pages.
I don't know anybody that had that. Did you, Goji?
I did not.
No.
Intellivision was one of those ones. If someone had it, they hung on to it because it was like, I'm the only one. And again, being a military family, we'd jump around a lot, but everywhere I went, there was one kid that had one. I didn't get to actually play one until the late 80s. Never got a chance to sit down with it. We were more of a ColecoVision family than we later had an Atari, but Intellivision was definitely the black sheep of the three.
And in terms of games, sort of £18, £20, £24. So
that was a newer one at the time. Yeah, Frogger had just come out. It was a holiday release.
Now we have
some
Philips.
Of those, Some of those would be more expensive on the Intellivision because of the license would cost them more for whatever reason.
So this one from Philips, the G7000 video computer game, was only £70.
And that one I have no recollection of at all, not even as a historian. Like nothing.
And the games were what? Ranging from £16 to £24.
I couldn't even though the names of those games,
Pac-Man,
Space Monster, which is a Space Invaders clone, Crazy Chase, which is clearly a Pac-Man clone, as is Munchkin, Pickaxe Pete. I think someone was on acid, and I think that one was trying to be Joust and failing miserably on the lower right.
Yeah. And moving on, very familiar, the Atari.
Yeah.
There you go.
And an absolute steal at £69.99.
It had been out for a year or two by that point.
Yeah.
No,
however,
more than that.
Second year.
However, the games we're looking at £22, £26. So yeah, the games weren't that cheap. But yeah, I remember playing this one many times.
By that point, because it was further into its life cycle, is less of a tradition now, but certainly still holds true. Game consoles will slowly go down in price, but the software kind of remains the same, so that they can shovel that money in.
Yeah, and of course, with Atari being established at this point, there were a ton of games available, and I'm seeing here something that looks familiar to most of us.
I have that one.
And that was costing £24 for The Empire Strikes Back.
That was relatively new at the time.
Yeah.
The Atari was my system.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm happy to say that you can get that for about £3 now.
Yeah.
Easily.
I never owned one, but I did play one quite frequently. And so now we've got the ColecoVision by CBS.
That was my first system.
Mm-hmm.
The drive simulator.
Yeah.
It was better than it looked. But what was weird about it is that the car in Turbo was third person. So you got the gas pedal and the steering wheel, but the car's like this big on a screen this big, and you're like, what the hell? It was pretty crazy.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. And this one was costing £145, so higher end of things. And the steering wheel and gas pedal were £45. That is a lot of money.
And there's only like 3 games that were compatible with it.
Yeah. And those games range from £23 to £29.
Again, it was much newer at the time and slightly more powerful than Atari.
And we have the Vectrex from Milton Bradley. This looks fantastic. I would have loved to have had this.
Yeah.
Simply because, bearing in mind, for a long time, I was part of a one television household. And to be able to use a computer system would have been very difficult with my dad watching his sports, my mum watching her TV.
Right.
To have a standalone system would have been quite mind-blowing back then.
You can play your game from 8 to 8:05.
Right. And that's kind of how it went. Even in a 2 TV house, sometimes it would be like that because someone would have seniority or whatever. And these were compact, they were reliable. And because of the relatively low cost versus getting another television, it was something that would fit in a kid's room and get the hell away from me while I'm watching whatever I'm watching.
How much was that?
I think that 124 pounds.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in and say, Jody, thank you again for your Mark II. Thank you so much.
He's so sneaky.
Yeah, and I have lost my spot. Where am I?
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, my mistake. So here we go. So that was the Vectrex. Now we're on to sort of standalone handheld things. Super Cobra. I don't remember that.
I saw that in Radio Shack once or twice, but never played it.
Shack.
Does that say spiders?
Mm-hmm.
Spiders.
Yep. Ooh, look, Defender.
Yeah, Defender. Pac-Man 2, but they're not showing anything on the screen. That's interesting.
No batteries, Dean. No batteries.
Yeah. And come on. So down here we have the Game & Watch, which were always wonderful in my opinion. And
Highly
this
sought
one,
after.
yeah. This one I'm not familiar with. That's number 9. Let me see here. Oh, Frogger. I never played that.
It's a good game.
Yeah, over here, I'm very familiar with some of these things. So Astro Wars, I still have mine from 1982. I just did the video the other day on that. I loved that game. And Munchman, again, another Pac-Man ripoff, but fun to play, although the controls were very annoying on this. Firefox F7. So anything here jumping out, sort of bringing back any memories?
Do you have to think
The
in
power
Russian
adapter.
to play that?
Oh yeah,
I said, do you have to think in Russian to play the Firefox? Wink, wink.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I have to go back and say thank you to Nick, who has said,
Nick.
because Scuba Pete is a beautiful man.
Not wrong.
Dude.
Wonderful comment. And Gerard says, can we raise a glass every time there's well wishes in the chat? I'll allow it. Raising a glass. There you go. Thank you, Gerard. Very kind. And I need to go back where. Okay.
Yeah, those universal AC adapters we have.
Oh, yeah.
House.
Well, those things were a godsend because batteries did not last very long back then.
No.
Mm-mm.
And they were expensive.
Yeah, they were expensive, and there's no way they were buying you a multi-pack.
No.
You were lucky if you got 2 AA's. Like, here you go, shut up.
No,
Yeah.
I need
No.
a couple C batteries for my Star Wars. Be like, oh,
no, you don't. Yeah, my dad got wise to it and would buy an extra universal adapter every time he'd buy me a piece that would handle it. Like, keep this with this
Yeah.
and use these.
Yeah.
in your pocket.
The Tommytronic 3D binocular style game, Alien Chase. I don't think I've ever seen that one
Yeah,
before.
I've never seen that.
I've seen it in the wild a couple times.
Yeah.
Never played it though.
Electronic drafts and chess, looks like. And down here, the sort of educational toys. Speak and Spell, Speak and Math, the Little Professor.
I had Little Professor.
I still got the little professor.
Yeah.
That's how I learned my multiplication table. Like,
Yeah. And
That explains a lot.
the little professor.
so Computer Battleship,
Nice.
Pocket Simon, Big Track, fantastic toys right there.
I always wanted that big track.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those like, no, you're not getting it. But I want it. No, you're not.
No.
Right.
Again, it's one of those toys that seemed better than it really was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it was held a program.
Yeah, basically.
A lot of the motorized ones were like cool for the first 5 minutes, and then
Yeah, and I'm going to jump in and say thank you to Sonny Frisch, who says there was an adapter available for ColecoVision which let you play Atari 2600 games. Atari was not able to sue CBS for some reasons. Interesting.
yeah, they couldn't
you.
prove that their technology was so unique, or the patent wasn't written right, or something. And subsequently, Nintendo made sure they didn't fall into the same trap, and there's a whole thing. It's kind of crazy.
And then Ed, thank you very much, Ed. He has said the excitement I felt perusing the cabinets in the toy shop, full of these amazing-looking machines and shiny game boxes. Top comments, guys. Well, thank you so much. And I'm now realizing that, one, I've been drinking too much whiskey, which, again, that stress is for purely medicinal reasons. And two, when I'm sharing a screen and trying to read the comments are much, much smaller, and I should have brought glasses with me. So I always forget to bring reading glasses. Anyway, moving on. Tommy Kongman. I remember seeing this as a kid, but I never actually had it.
Moves the little steel ball.
Yeah.
I see it on 14.
Yeah. Now, number 14, we discussed this possibly last week. Will this be the game that includes the only figure that we really want in the next retro collection?
I've got that game.
Oh, yeah. Was it any good?
No.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to say regarding
better than it was.
Yeah, regarding the two previous games, Escape the Death Star game pretty much sucks. However, having played the Hoth game with my wife a few times, I actually quite enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the worst game I've ever played, certainly. And yeah, this one, again, I keep saying this, Test Match, one of the best games I ever played as a kid. It actually was better than you expected, which is a very unique thing. Bent out of shape. I don't recall this at all.
It looks like a poor man's Twister.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not allowed to lay out a mat, so we'll make a board game.
Yeah.
So just contort your body for our amusement and your embarrassment.
Yeah. Turbo Tops, I do remember.
It's super fun to play by yourself.
Yeah. And of course, Hungry Hippos.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
I mean, those were really well built for as much as we slammed those levels on the hippos. I mean, just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah. Connect 4, Operation, some standard fare. Slightly more grown-up games, Yahtzee. I've never played that.
Really? It's fun.
No. Really?
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Twister again. Family Fortunes. Now, in America, was the game called what? Family Feud?
Yep. And we had the same board game, just different name on it.
Right. Okay.
Survey said.
Yeah.
Stratego. Trapdoor.
Right.
Yeah. Smurf Beetle. And over here, Downfall. I recall playing that, although I didn't actually own it. I think it was reasonably okay. Game of Life, as I keep saying, I keep seeing that for sale to this day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I Spy. Guess Who was always fun to play. Stay Alive. I don't recall that one. And yeah, Hangman. We always just played using piece of paper and a pencil.
Yeah,
such a cash grab.
Absolutely.
With not Vincent Price on the cover.
No.
Yeah. And here we go with the computer games making their way into board games.
Speaking of cash grabs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are, in which, again, the box is like the best part of those games.
Yeah. There's no game in it. Can I have the box? Sure. Okay.
I mean, that's what you got from like your oddball aunt and uncle, or something like, you like Pac-Man, Harry? And you're like, it's a board.
Yeah.
It's like socks.
Again, more board games. So Mr. Pop.
Perfection for Melinda.
Yeah. Domino Rally.
That's awesome.
Solid.
Booby Trap. I don't recall that, but Space Attack looked fun, but I'm sure it wouldn't be as good to actually play it as it looked.
Looks like a predecessor to Crossfire, actually.
Yeah.
You look at that, like that has the little shooting things, the little BBs, but the playing field's much smaller.
Shockwave. I have no memory of this. Coming down. Try Ominos.
That's a weird game.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had it. I could never get into it.
No. This looks like a coin collection. I don't know what the hell this is. Number 8. Let me see. Number 8 was Heads and Tails. Test of strategy and cunning to make a line of 3 coins.
Really?
That sounds like it sucks.
That's
Yeah. And Cover Up. No memory of that.
because it was covered up.
Yeah, perhaps. And
Conspiracy.
Beware the Spider. Anyone remember this?
No.
No.
No. I think I remember a game where a spider leapt at my face.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus!
This game, it was great.
Hands down. Now, this is 1983, and that's a very sort of mid to late 70s haircut,
That's
isn't it?
below 77.
Yeah.
Shades of the Partridge Family on that one.
Yeah. Mousetrap.
Yes.
Again, a game that was more fun just to build and play the
Yes.
trap as opposed to the actual game.
Yeah, no, we never played the actual game.
No.
Run the trap again.
Yeah. Cannonball Charlie. Don't remember that. Up Against Time. I've got to be honest. In all the previous episodes, I've had a pretty good memory of most of the things in these catalogs. This one is throwing me for a loop. There are a ton of things I don't remember.
Yeah, I've never.
I'd be willing to bet that at this point, like, board game companies were just scrambling for ideas because action figures had taken over such a big corner of the market. So I think they were just throwing everything against the wall, and clearly not a lot of it stuck.
No. Grabbing Dragons.
not to be
No
confused
idea
with
what that
Hungry
is.
Hungry Hippos.
It's a dangerous practice.
Yeah. Curse of the Cobras. Nope.
I remember that, though.
Yeah.
Do you?
I want to bite your finger. I do remember. I always wanted it, but as someone told me in a previous stream, it wasn't actually a biting action. It was just 2 red
markers.
felt tip pens that left a mark on your finger. So, very much like I had the Jaws game, and I thought you had to be really careful because if you weren't, Jaws would actually hurt you. It was
Right.
the slowest action I've ever seen in my life.
In a world where you could still buy lawn darts, I mean, I'm not surprised you thought that about
Yeah.
Jaws.
Weren't
Absolutely.
those also made by Ideal? Didn't they?
Yeah.
Also
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Crossfire was a great game.
Oh, that was great.
Told you.
And Tank Command, I never played, but I always fancied it. And hopefully we're going to get onto the sort of real action stuff. Nope, not yet. Now,
Foosball.
here's something. Did you say foosball?
Yeah.
Interesting, because it was always table football to me. Let's see what they called it. Yeah, table football game. Where did the foosball come from? The name
From us calling football soccer. That's that's really what it boils down to. They had to come up with a name, and I would be willing to bet there was some whoever it was, the manufacturer from Charlton or whoever sold these tables, come over to America, probably Irish. I'm gonna just guess, and it's like, this is foosball.
Right.
Is foosball? No, it's foosball. And then finally they just sign the contract. I'm not going to argue with you, but we're calling it foosball. Like, I would imagine that's how it went.
Yeah. Now, snooker never made it big in America, did it?
No, but what we had was a almost that same size table, but it was bumper pool.
Yeah.
Yep.
With those short cues. It ended up being more of like a G.I. Joe or Star Wars Dagobah, with the green felt.
Right. Yeah. I think as a kid, I would not be happy to have received a desk and chair for Christmas.
Right.
Oh, God.
Or a typewriter. What the hell?
Yeah.
Not the ideal gift.
Well, yeah, it's a computer and printer in one.
Yeah. And it
Fun,
seems to.
honey. School. Right.
Let me just refresh this page. Page unresponsive. That's no good.
Call the paramedics, I guess.
Yeah. Maybe just give that a moment to refresh. This is very unfortunate. And
Well, while it's frozen,
yeah,
I can see that Spider-Man school thing.
yeah.
As a kid, that was an easy way to sucker me in, man. Like,
Right.
give me
Oh,
the
yeah.
Spider-Man school kit. Like, I want to measure everything. I haven't gotten to where I'm using the compass yet with all the things. I would still just draw circles with it and stuff. And I got to be honest, I would love that Spider-Man stapler.
Yeah.
Like
So
right now.
I'm
I
going
would
to
start stapling stuff.
come out of this and we'll go back to it. So in the background, let me just close that and try again, because so far in typical fashion, we've been pretty smooth sailing for the previous 3 live streams, and this would be the one that we have.
Curse of the West, Dean. Curse of the West.
Yeah.
Good thing I brought my 1982 book.
Will you stop deflecting, Pete?
He is prepared.
Okay. I think we're good to try this again. So let me share this. And
Karen Ball said the page is dead. Makes me
Let's
think
get out the pedal.
word is dead.
there we go. So yes, look at this. Even the compass is Spider-Man would spread his legs to increase the angle. Look at that.
And look where the pencil's going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I had those magnetic letters.
Yeah. And the Hoopla game. I had something similar to this, but I had one that was Snow White and the Seven Dwarves. Hoopla I enjoyed playing as a very small kid. Scatter Skittles. You know what? I think I had something similar to this, but many years prior to 83, obviously. Those were quite fun. Donkey play.
Donkey. Pin the tail on the donkey. It's not even your birthday. It's fun.
That's an unfortunate name for a board game, I tell you.
Yeah. And again, that's pure 70s, isn't it?
Oh,
I had that haircut.
Yeah.
And that kid is still in that studio today.
Yeah.
Trying to find his way out with these crappy plastics. You're like, get out.
Yeah. So now hopefully we're going to get some action toys. Are we? Oh my God. Still not yet. Molding. And you'll notice it's mold spelt with a U.
As you do in the UK.
Yeah. Postman Pat.
Cool.
No.
Mr. Man.
Yeah, we got
Spirograph. Yeah.
Spirograph Classic. Meccano, I loved Meccano.
I love seeing the Palatoy though with the Spirograph. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bolt and Build and some Airfix models. Classic. Nice.
Meccano.
Okay, now this time when we turn the page, let's pray for some action toys. Oh, almost.
Yes, it's
Lego. So Duplo was very much for the infants, but holy crap, that.
Yeah. Now you're talking. I had the gas station.
I had one. I think I had the Shell station previous to this one. Now, did you have different brands of gas stations in America?
No, we had. We might have had. And Shell, I believe, was the one
Exxon,
we got.
I think was the other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or was Exxon that Hot Wheels thing, or the Matchbox, the parking garage? They had the gas station off the side.
Oh yeah, you might be right.
And then, it could be both.
Yeah. Fire station, police station. Those are actually fancier than the ones I had because that's actually a pre-formed motorcycle. I had to build my motorcycles from bricks.
Yeah, that one was you just pop the wheels on it.
Yeah, that's quite fancy actually. But over here, again, this fully functioning chassis of a car was present, I think, every year of the 80s. Yeah. And actually, really number 12. But look, £26, that is a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
The space one that I got, number 16, and I think it would have been 1983 or 84. So number 16 was coming in at Wow, £8.95. What a steal! But this was when Space Lego really got quite fancy, in my opinion, because up until this point, all the sets were just grey bricks.
4 of the 5.
Yeah.
Oh, love it.
Great
Yeah,
stuff.
number 18 looks fantastic, doesn't it? How much was that?
Yeah.
£20.
You know what?
Quite expensive, actually.
I've got a Polaroid picture on my display of my space stuff. Hold on.
Ah, almost. So,
Slot racers.
slot cars, ideal. Dukes of Hazzard, electric slot machine, slot racing set. Brilliant stuff.
There it is.
Make me big.
That's great.
I'm going to keep an eye on Pete here. Let me go back to StreamYard. So, Pete, let me just increase. Beautiful. Look at that.
That's great.
That is
Very
just
nice.
fantastic. Brilliant.
That was like our old, like ancient dining room table, I think, when I was like little.
Yeah, that is just fantastic.
Found that the other day.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
TCR. Now, did Skeletrix make it to America?
Not as such. They might have done a distro deal with somebody else under a different brand name, but I never heard of them until this year,
It
actually.
was always Tycho. That's what I always remembered.
Tycho and Ideal, because I remember that Dukes of Hazzard set. That was really heavily pushed on TV.
Yeah, I had a Tycho slot car set.
Ah, nice. And before we get to the good stuff, just going to give a shout out to the chemistry sets, the microscopes, and the electricity and magnetism sets. Yeah. So, 83 and Star Wars. What do we have?
Oh, yeah.
Return of the Jedi. And so, as I said earlier, 83 was my big Star Wars Christmas. And the Palitoy X-Wing with the clear canopy and the battle damage stickers was one that I got. And even as a 9-year-old kid, I knew that those battle damage stickers sucked and never put them on.
Right?
Yep.
Just look wrong.
They really do.
And it's funny because when I began looking back at my childhood a few years ago and saw Michael French restore an X-Wing, I couldn't understand why the one he had light and sound, because the Palitoy one did not.
Right.
And I thought I was going crazy because I knew that mine didn't. But then I'm seeing him with one that did. I'm thinking, how the hell is that possible? But then, of course, looking into it further, there were differences between Kenner and Palitoy.
You didn't miss much with the sound.
No.
Like yeah. I have one. I have a Kenner one now, and yeah, it does sound awful. But yeah, so that was one I got. I also got the Snow Speeder that year, which I loved.
It's one of my all-time faves.
The fact that it had 2 seats just made it so special. Although I only had one Luke X-Wing pilot, and I always had to put the Rebel soldier in the back seat. It just didn't quite seem right.
Yep, we did the same. That was so cool that you could harpoon something, because we didn't have the YAT.
Yeah,
you could harpoon something, and wrap it around, and it would, doink.
And of course, now the 2 I really wanted were the Millennium Falcon and the AT-AT, and I was told in no uncertain terms, no. And but looking back though, number 9 was the AT-AT. That was £23. Sorry, the Millennium Falcon was 23, and the AT-AT was 32, and that was quite a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
Compared to the X-Wing at £8.45, and the Snow Speeder at £12.95. So I can understand my parents thinking there. And interestingly, the 4 packs of figures are not what they appear. Let me explain. So number 14 does In fact, in this instance, it is what it says. For your £4.95, you're getting Gamorrean Guard, Squidhead, Boba Fett, and R2D2. And
actually go together.
in the case of number 16, we're getting Darth Vader, C-3PO, Galactic Emperor's Guard, and Stormtrooper, Hoth Stormtrooper, it should say, for £4.95. Apparently, though, when you went to Argos and ordered that, they would give you 4 random figures. So you never quite knew what you were going to get for your £4.95. But my God, could you imagine paying £5 to get 4 figures?
I can imagine it. I would do it in a heartbeat.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh darn! I got 4 Boba Fett's.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
It's interesting how that they're advertising Return of the Jedi, yet that picture is obviously calling back to The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, it's like
snow
everywhere.
Yeah.
Tree Theodore, thank you again, sir. Great live stream, all 4 of you. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and same to you, sir. And Jared, again, thank you so much. Chemistry sets, lots of snot in petri dishes and slides. So wrong.
Yep.
Indeed. Thank you, Jared.
Plucking your brother's hair, see what it looks like under the microscope.
Yeah. And I'm curious about Slave 1, number 15, at £13.45.
Yep, I had that. That's a great toy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Number 12 was £16.95. Not bad. So moving on from Star Wars, Action Force, which I moved on to immediately after Star Wars in probably the spring or summer of '84. This is just fantastic stuff. Now, this is the Action Force that I know and love, which was before it morphed into G.I. Joe.
Yep.
So,
following year, right?
Possibly. It is my intention to get back into this stuff. Unfortunately, I can cut myself off when they became G.I. Joes, so I don't have too much I would need to collect. It's strictly the 5-point of articulation figures we see here. And I'm curious at the prices. So number 2. So 3 figures for £3.95. Yeah.
Just give me the whole page. I'm good. I'll buy it right now.
Yeah.
For £4, I'll take Baron and Mouton.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes, please.
Were any of these vehicles sort of repaints of existing G.I. Joe?
Yep.
Toys?
The tank, Z-Force tank, and the Panther. Yep.
Right. What about the Shadow Track? Was that unique to Palatoy?
I think so. I didn't see it here. Yeah.
That is correct. Yeah, that's not a repaint borrow. That's just glorious.
And I had no idea this toy line even existed until I started watching Tony's videos at Analog.
Right.
I can't get enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think in terms of figures, I had probably 3/4 of the figures we see here. I didn't have any vehicles, unfortunately, but I just loved those figures. Even though they were the same scale, the same articulation as Star Wars, they just really captured my imagination for some reason. And once I began buying these, I was completely done with Star Wars. To the point where, as I've said before, I was so into Action Force that they had some last 17 Star Wars for sale in my local newsagents for 49 pence, and I didn't even give them a second glance.
Right.
What a mistake to make. Yeah. Full-size Action Man. Now, did the Palatoy Action Man, was that exactly the same as the G.I. Joe's 12-inch?
No.
No. Right, so these were... So were these actually a unique Palatoy design?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, those characters, definitely.
Yeah. And...
Oh, that's
great.
It is, isn't it? It's fantastic.
Beautiful.
And this is
I
like a
believe,
third.
I believe G.I. Joe Adventure Team released that helicopter in the U.S. in yellow because I did have that.
And this is like a third-party playset for Action Force. And this is the Kasdan Assault Course.
That's cool.
For £7.95.
That'd be a really cool add-on to like the G.I. Joe base, so you could have like training behind the base and stuff. That's really cool.
Motu.
Yes, indeedy.
Sure.
And I believe this was the year I got most of this stuff. I might have gotten like He-Man and Skeletor in '82 when they first popped in, but '83 was like He-Man for me.
Yep, Battle Ram.
I think I just need to jump in here. And Sonny Frisch has told us that in Germany, it was approximately £9 for 4 Star Wars figures in '83. Wow, that's
interesting.
Like almost double the price of the UK. And Jason, thank you so much, Jason. Merry Christmas to you all. And is that the first wave of Action Force as I had them accept for the SAS guys and vehicles? I think this was actually no, the first wave of Action Force were generic soldiers from around the world, I believe.
They took then some of the most popular and shrunk them down.
Yeah. So I guess the second wave is what we just looked at. But thank you again, Jason. Very, very kind of you. And back. So so the Motu stuff. I'm curious about the cost of Castle Grayskull. Suggested retail price was £29.99. But Argos will give you it for $22.95. Not bad. And of course, it didn't come with a figure, did it?
Not back then, no.
No.
Just the castle.
Yeah.
Figure sold separately.
And in terms of Battle Cat, there was no articulation, is that right?
Right. Yeah.
Correct, because it was a
big gym.
Yeah, it was a big gym line. And as the lore goes, the guy's like, well, he's got to have something else to ride, and we can't afford any more tooling. Like if he had a horse or something, like what if he could? And he just happened to see the tiger off in the corner, and he goes, "Paint." He's like, "This could work. This could work." Like he has to ride him. Oh, what do you want me to do? Paint him green and orange? Yes, try that. And they do that, and they said, "This is perfect. Put a saddle on him. Done." And they put that out, and it's one of the most enduring images of a toy line. And they didn't want to do it. It was just to save money.
And as with the other action figure lines, Argos were doing 2-packs. So 2 figures for £5.95. Wow. Not at all bad. And look at this Palatoy. Fantastic stuff. The Pursuit Craft. And number 18 was Sharna Jeep and Trailer. I had vehicles from my Action Man, but they were sort of generic knockoffs. But they were a lot of fun to play with. Yeah, just as good. And 19 was the training tower. That is brilliant, isn't it?
That's great.
I mean, £20, but bearing in mind, this is scaled for a 12-inch figure. This thing was massive.
Yeah, that'd be like this tall. That's crazy.
Yeah, brilliant. And what the hell is this? The Enchanted World of Walt Disney.
Wow.
He-Man weapons and a Chips helmet set.
Oh, yeah.
Look
at this. The Para's assault kit.
I wanted the He-Man weapons kit, but they got me the chip set that year.
Oh boy! I was did the Professionals TV show make it to America?
Nope.
No, it was like a crime fighting duo of action and everything. Pretty cool. The climbing Spider-Man, which
that year,
but I had it. It was from Remco, not Ideal, and it looks slightly different. Of course, interestingly, this stunt cycle is not your normal stunt cycle. This is like almost like a dirt bike with a molded Evel Knievel.
Right.
Yeah,
and they
you can
had
still-
they had an offshoot of that.
I
They
had that
Captain
one.
America one, and trying to think of like they had other characters, like a couple other Marvel characters, and they had like comic books with them. The comic books were actually really good.
Yeah.
Kind of a crazy offshoot of that line. But Evel Knievel was the first.
What's the
Yeah. Now,
Star
I'm
Wars?
assuming this is a play mat of some sorts.
What's called
Let me see.
the sticky thing. The
Felt, fuzzy
color
felt.
forms. Color forms.
Oh, no,
Yes.
it was a floor mat.
Huh.
For
What?
£6.95 for a floor mat. Yeah, whatever. And what the hell is this? Number 10.
I remember this.
The Tomy Space Pet Hoomdorm.
Umdorm.
Use the air pump to fill the Hoomdorm's tank and watch him hop away.
Done.
Speed jumper, which I recently covered in a video.
Yep.
I'm just going to jump back and let me see here. We've got Cal has said, Merry
Hello.
Christmas. Thanks for an awesome stream. Well, and thank you. Very, very kind of you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steven.
The speed jumper, fantastic toy. Buddy L, 12.
That Buddy L Spider-Man set. Oh, so much fun.
Yeah.
Completely pointless and made no sense, but fun.
Yeah. Crash Cars Bust Up. I always wanted this. I was quite a destructive kid, but I would have really appreciated having that. And we have the Stunt Buster and not the Barn Buster. So I covered it, I think it was last week's video. So I had the Speed Jumper as a kid. I now have that again. And I have the Stunt Buster, but the Barn Buster was slightly better in that there were more elements to it than just the barn. Streak racing was always cool. Anything glow in the dark was fine by me. Typical sort of roadways playmat, and I have no idea what this in the corner is. Is it Matchbox? No.
Looks like it was playing to your Matchbox.
Yeah. And what do we have next? Wow, it continues. Hot Wheels. Pretty cool.
At it.
Okay, we got to see now. Is there a brand at that gas station? That's what we got to see.
Yeah. Looks like Shell.
Shell.
It does.
Yep.
But then again, UK.
I love that set. You got the car wash, foam rollers that you can pull your car through.
Yeah, that's really cool.
With that. Plus, it was so mobile. Like you cram your cars in there, and like we're going to your grandparents for the weekend. That was definitely on the list. I gotta check this.
4 on the floor, Speed Blaster. I don't recall this, but it looks cool. Corgi, always enjoyed my Corgi cars. We've got an airport. Look at that. Pretty cool. Case for your cars, chips, vehicles.
Chips diecast.
That's a nice set, actually. And let me see here. I see the wrist racers that I have, Dukes of Hazzard. Interestingly enough, they were still made by Knickerbocker in '83, and then in '84, Hasbro had taken over Knickerbocker by that point. Tonka. Wow, that's a big Rubik's Cube.
Yeah.
Oops.
Beat this one, nerd.
Yeah. Oh, not again. I've gone and frozen it again. Hang on. Let me try. If this doesn't work, I think what we'll do is we've pretty much got to the end of the cool stuff, right? Anything after this point is going to be girls' toys and infants' toys. And if this isn't going to work, you know what? This might be as good a time as any to let Scuba Pete show us his physical, in-person, with pages catalog. How about that?
1982.
Oh, wow.
Montgomery Ward.
Fantastic.
I picked this up actually after your Iconicon catalog stream.
Oh, yeah.
As I'm sure many of us did. But I mean, it's... How about all that?
Oh,
Nice.
I mean,
wow.
it's like Dukes of Hazzard. Everything.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Not just race kit, like your sleeping bag.
Oh, I had that guitar at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. There. Sorry, get my fat thumb out of the way.
Wow. Fantastic.
Yeah. What else? Oh, so good. Annie, no.
He said, no, Annie.
How about how about those toys? Oh no, not those. Those aren't toys. Those are toys.
Don't make me have your mom call you on the Merlin.
Right. She's got the number.
That's right.
All right. Smurf. Bed set. You know.
All the Smurfs.
You loved it.
And all that
That
stuff.
much.
That's crazy.
What else? All right. Strawberry shortcake. Hard pass. More Dukes of Hazzard. There's a present. Oh, yeah. Pac-Man.
Wow.
Oh, wow. And even is that Munchman on the same page as Pac-Man? The game on the right hand side.
Oh, they're calling it Pac-Man.
Huh.
How about
Interesting.
the TV tray?
Oh, wow.
Yep. A friend of mine had that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I had a buddy that he had that TV tray. Garbage can. And Snoopy.
Them Tim garbage cans, those were a thing for a long time.
Right? Yeah, all your themed. I really should have marked pages. Those are toys. There's so much. Everybody's meanwhile staring at me. Ah, the toys. Okay. We're there. All right.
Okay, I'm just going to say to the comments I'm seeing just now, I've reloaded the page. So once we're done with showing Pete's catalog, we'll go back to the girls' stuff. Don't worry. Oh, wow.
1982 G.I. Joe. So there's your first round. How about that big wheel?
That's
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And those are proper walkie-talkies. The ones I had the cable between the two handsets, which were just useless because you could hear the other voice acoustically. And you know.
Oh. Fisher Price.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's good
nice.
stuff.
Was that Mobile at the bottom?
The what?
Playmobil?
Or Playmobil. Sorry, not Fisher Price. Playmobil. Yes.
Because I saw the
And-
figures on the bottom. I was like, wait a minute.
Sorry.
You're good.
The Resistance.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
wow.
Those
I like-
Indiana Jones toys,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah, there's the Well of Souls playset.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Hoth Micro Collection. Bespin World.
Yep.
Star Destroyer. Yeah. I think that's, yeah. The rest is kind of, we've already covered.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'm just going to quickly jump back because there were some people upset we didn't take a quick glance at the girls' toys. So I've reloaded the page, I hope. And if we go here and make it big, we were on this page. Viewmaster, an absolute classic that I really did enjoy as a kid. And the Scary Faces, I wanted, believe it or not, I really wanted this makeup set.
Yeah, me too.
I was never allowed it though. So anyway.
Yeah, my parents were like, no, you can't do that. You're too young.
Yeah, Mr. Frosty, I always wanted that, but by all accounts was a complete disaster, never worked. Etch-a-Sketch and the knockoff What's it called?
Magnadoodle.
Magnadoodle. Okay. For some reason, they've put a Christmas tree amongst the toys.
It's toy, clearly.
Yeah. Now, 13 is what? That is. It's Decker Toys Spaceship.
Like a space capsule module from.
Hang on. Shouldn't that say retardant? Flame retardant, not retarded.
Oh, no.
He was so burned he went stupid.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that's horrible.
No. Okay.
It was the 80s.
Yeah. You could ride your own little. Is that a dog or a lamb?
Yes.
Whoa.
Looks like a lamb.
Yeah. You know what? I had number 2, which made like cop car sounds
on your bike. Yep.
Yeah. Very cool.
That is the exact same setup that's on the flag for doing it, because it came with that where you'd be like, clear the deck.
Nice.
Yeah, my parents got me a late 70s Spider-Man bicycle, and to sweeten the deal, they got me that and put it on the bike.
Oh,
so
nice.
I was the most annoying kid in my block for about a month.
Glowworm, all very much for infants. This Jack in the Box was everywhere when I was a kid. Very popular. Yep. Oh, not again. Okay. Oh, Fisher Price.
There we go.
Look at this.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Alpha Interceptor.
And look at this one, the Ground Shaker.
There's a whole series of those. Those were great.
Those are fantastic.
Like you pull them back and.
Yeah. Very much toys for infants. I remember seeing this a lot as well as a kid. And
the big yellow teapot?
Yeah. Spinning Jenny. So this was a sewing machine for little girls. Oh, how creepy is this? Makeup music. Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. That's
no, not cool. Okay. Here we go. Is this Cindy?
Barbie.
Now, was Cindy a UK only doll, or did it make its way to America as well? I have no idea. I don't expect
had a Cindy in the Barbie line, I think, but they're
okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, how awesome is this sort of RV for girls?
Oh, that thing's slick.
Oops. Oh, not again. Wait there. This has been a disaster today.
It's live.
This is live TV, so
yep.
I want to see how much that was. So number 18, £20, not bad. And it's 3 feet long. Pretty.
That's a lot of play value for that place.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. And that's it. So there we go. So those were the toys available in 83. And as the segment suggests, I want to hear your 3 most desirable toys, starting with third and then going from second to first. So, Jim, what was your third pick of those toys we just looked at?
So, my third as a kid, we actually got, which was the ColecoVision, and it would be my number 1 as an adult now because I don't have one and I really want.
Yeah. So, Pete, what was your third pick?
My third pick was the game Mousetrap because, again, that still has some very Christmas memories associated with it because we always stayed at our grandparents, and after dinner, Grandma would clear the table off, and that's when they would put like a little bumper on the table, the little padded piece, and then we could set up the Mousetrap game on there and monkey with it, and while she was still doing the dishes and all that, we were rigging it all up.
So, so Carl, what was your third pick?
I would pick the Atari gaming system. That was my first system, and actually the only system I ever had. I'm not a gamer. So after the Atari, after I played that out, I kind of just went to action figures and never came back.
Okay.
So the Atari for me.
Very cool.
You'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was going to say you'll be happy to know that if you decide you want one, they're still inexpensive, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my third pick would have been the Action Force Shadow Track.
Nice.
Never had it, always wanted it. So second pick, Jim.
My second pick, honestly, would cover both adulthood and childhood because I've never owned one of these. I've only seen them in person a handful of times my entire life. Is the AT-AT.
Yeah. Very good. Pete?
I always wanted it.
Oh, yeah. That thing was so ginormous.
Yeah.
Bigger than your dog. My second pick, I'm going to have to go with the Atari system as well, because we didn't have one, but it was like neighbor on that side had one, neighbor 2 doors down had one, and we had the Commodore 64 eventually. But yeah, to be able to have an Atari at home, that would have been awesome.
And Carl?
Number 2 for me would be the Millennium Falcon, which I did receive. Whatever the first year it came out was, I forget if it was 79, 80, 81, somewhere around there. I did receive that, but that was just a really big, cool ship from the Star Wars line. I remember before I received that, I had a Space 1999 Eagle, which I picked up at a flea market, and that was my de facto Millennium Falcon until I got the actual toy. So getting the actual toy was pretty cool.
Yeah, and funnily enough, my second pick was also the Millennium Falcon. As I said earlier, I wanted that and the AT-AT for Christmas '83 and was told no. And I felt really bummed out. But in hindsight, I got 4.5. When I say 4.5, I got 4 vehicles / playsets and a mini rig in place of the Falcon and AT-AT for Christmas that year. So I think I did better. But yeah, always fancied it as a kid, but never had it. So, number 1 picks, starting with Jim.
Millennium Falcon. Again, I've never owned one. I've never seen a complete one in person.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think the trouble is that there are so many parts that fall off that finding one 100% complete is not that easy.
And as I've been building towards a Bespin-centric Star Wars set, and I've been hem-hawing with different things and so forth, and one of the focal points has been, which Falcon do I get? And I keep changing my mind. I'm like, do I get Power of the Force 2? Do I get the huge-ass modern one? Do I get the old one? Do I get all of them? Yeah. What do I do?
All of them.
So,
the fleet.
Yeah.
The fleet.
Yeah.
Right. So if someone said you could have the 83 one for free, that would make my choice easier. And plus, again, never had one. So obvious choice.
Yeah. So, Pete, what was your number 1 pick?
My number 1 pick is the SAS Panther.
Very nice choice. And Carl, what was your top pick?
It would be the one vintage Star Wars vehicle that I never had back in the day, and that was the AT-AT. Because I love big toys, and he would have been a great opponent for Godzilla, but I never owned one. So AT-AT is my top choice.
Yeah. And for me, it had to be the Vectrix, simply because it was one standalone unit that I could have had in my bedroom set up, could have played anytime I wanted. And as it was, I had my Astro Wars game, which was good, but I would have really liked that Vectrix. So that concludes the segment looking at the toys and what we would have liked, what we still like. And let's be honest,
what we're still after.
I honestly think if money were no option, I would get most everything that we just looked at.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, just for the sake of it.
Yeah,
of course.
With very few exceptions, it all was pretty good stuff. And I think of all the catalogs I've looked at in this series, that was the best one.
That was
eclectic.
It was the biggest toy section for sure. And a good mixture of electronic and traditional toys.
Absolutely.
Which is, I always feel bad for kids nowadays, because they'll never get to experience that sort of physical element we had as kids. Everything is now virtual and on the phone type thing. We had it the best. I think anyway.
I agree. Like I liken the wish book experience to like comic books. Like, can I read a comic book on a stream? Sure. Is it the same? Not even close.
No.
And with browsing online versus having a catalog in your hand, and then the ritualistic aspect of it, where every year you would just every time you come home from school and like dream, like you'd go to the same page and just go, please, please. You would just like put all your energy into like, come on, Santa, come on, Santa, come on, Santa. And then like even if only a tenth of it arrived, you were over the moon.
Yeah.
It's not the same for kids. No. I guarantee it. They don't know any better, and that's the shame of it. They don't know the difference.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, I had to go back home to Scotland 2 years ago, and I spent a lot of time sitting in the parks that I used to play at, and we were there for 2 months. We did not see a single child playing in those parks in 2 months. They were all at home doing this. It's so sad. Because I remember as a kid, you had to wait in line to get onto the swings or the roundabouts because every kid wanted to be on those things.
Yep.
Whereas now it's like a ghost town. It really is pretty sad. But as you said, they don't know any different.
No.
So
we had the our indoor mall had big giant concrete turtles that you could climb on, climb under. There were small ones, big ones. There was like a giant one, but that was like Lord of the Flies there, like where the parents sat on the benches and were like, go ahead, if they look at them,
Yeah. In fact, I remember in my local big park, it was divided into 3 zones. You had the zone for the tiny infants. You had the next zone had attractions that would be for sort of middle-aged kids. And in the very end, there were some real scary high slides and all sorts of things. And when you were given permission to play in the big boys park, man, you felt like a king.
Right?
When you said middle-aged kids, I thought the next one was going to be elderly kids, and I was waiting for it. And
nah. And bearing in mind, this was before they used that sort of spongy surface or the wood chips. This was if you fell off, you were falling onto concrete.
Oh yeah, you were breaking something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
look at me, I'm on top of the wing. Oh
yeah.
Seesaws so dangerous as you got older. It's like
and then you always have that one kid. You always had that one kid that wanted to walk across the top of the monkey bars, and you're like,
oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Like,
So now we're going to move into the last segment, and I'll just run the quick intro. So, Christmas memories, it can be from any year. It doesn't have to be 83. But what are some real vivid memories you have of Christmas as a child? In any order you wish.
I can go ahead, Goji.
Okay. My big Christmas when I was a child was 78. That was the year I received my Shogun Warriors Godzilla, plus the first batch of Star Wars toys. I had a big haul that year. I got the X-Wing, TIE Fighter, Darth Vader TIE Fighter, Land Speeder, Land of the Jawas, and the Death Star playset.
Oh, wow.
So that was my big Star Wars haul Christmas. So that's the most vivid memory I have of opening toys on Christmas. Overall, when I was growing up, we had a routine on Christmas. We'd get up, my sister and I would open presents with our parents. Then late morning, we'd go to my aunt's house on my father's side of the family, see that side of the family, and I'd get more gifts. Then we'd come home, and my mother's family would come over our house for dinner, and I'd get more gifts. So it was just a whole day of seeing your entire family and receiving gifts and just having a really good time. So I had a good time every Christmas growing up.
Oh, fantastic. And so who's next? Pete?
I could say, like, that whole mid-'80s Christmas again at my grandparents' house, since we were all crammed in the house. That meant my brother and I had the fold-out sofa in the living room, but that also meant that we were right by the fireplace. So I always had a fire going in that. So that was always like burning down, just kind of embery, and eventually the adults would go to bed. You were asleep, the Christmas tree lights were still on. But that also meant literally over the railing was the kitchen, and that's where the Christmas cookie tins were. So you could go hit that up for like a late night snack. And as I got kind of like 10, 11, 12, Saturday Night Live was on. Like, that was a big deal to pop the TV on and keep the volume down, like super low. And I remember getting busted by my dad, who got up and I'm sure saw that there was glow coming from the living room. And he comes out, and I thought for sure I was dead meat. And he's like, "No, turn it up." He sat there and we laughed our butts off.
Oh, fantastic. Jim, what are some memories from you?
For me, it's got to be specifically '84. Every year, my mom's tradition was to make something she called monkey bread, which is basically bread dough with like a honey and a cinnamon sugar on it, glazed with lots of butter, and it was baked to perfection. So she would always make monkey bread, and we would just kind of chip away at that while we were having open our Christmas presents. But this particular year, it was our first year in Southern Virginia, in the Bay Area down there. And Dad, because he was one of the newer officers, sometimes would have to pull watch overnight. And it was the first time we never really noticed it happen, because normally when he would do it, he would have gone after we went to sleep, and then we'd wake up, go to school, and he'd come home. This is the first time it ever impacted anything. So he pulled watch for Christmas Eve. So we're waiting on the stairs, staring at the door, waiting for him to come home. And then he comes home, and I almost floated off the stairs, and he said, let me at least change, son. I'm like, okay. And it was horrible. Horrible. It seemed like it was like 6 days of waiting on the stairs. I was starving to death. I didn't have any monkey bread in my system. It's the whole thing. It's a deficiency. You have to look it up. But finally, we get to go downstairs, and we went to the kitchen, where they had definitely blocked off the living room access or anything. We ate breakfast. They kept us waiting. So by now, it's probably 9 a.m, which to a kid is like, the day's over, But finally, we get to go into the living room, and I now understand as an adult why it was very important for my dad to be there. This was the year that Superpowers Collection came out. Series 1 was there. In front of me, in front of the tree, you had each of the vehicles. So you had the Lexor 7, the Batmobile, and the Supermobile, all put together, decals on them in front of their respective boxes, which had been resealed. Hall of Justice, completely assembled in all of its glory in front of a resealed box. The entire line of figures, except for Wonder Woman and Brainiac, only because they couldn't find them, which we ended up getting within the next couple months anyway. But all the figures were on card backs, and they just had it this ornate laid out. And I as a kid, your jaw just explodes off of your face. You're just like, ah! And there was more. There was probably a slew of Transformers that I'm forgetting now, but just that presentation and the anticipation, knowing what my dad had gone through, because what he had clearly done was gone into the garage as soon as I went to sleep, put everything together, and instructed my mother how to put it together, in front of the tree. And then after he got home and showered, while we're eating breakfast, I guarantee you he retooled. He's like, Marilyn doesn't know how to do this. There's no showmanship, and all this stuff. And it was by far the most impactful Christmas I've ever had. And of course, when I got back into collecting, that's why the first thing that I went after was that series. And I have them now. I intended for it to be a slow burn, but no. Yeah, I might have a problem. Awesome. A big problem. But that was we're talking about recapturing memories, like that's the most poignant one that I have, not just of Christmas, but of a toy line and of my father. So like that toy line is always going to be linked in there, and it's Christmas '84, best Christmas memory.
Oh, fantastic. So I have one which I'm guessing may be from 78 or 79. Now, to set the scene, so when my father was a young boy, when he was 7 years old, he had polio. And as a result of that, he never grew to be too, I think he was like 5'4" or something. He was very frail and weak. And as a result, he could never really engage in many sort of physical activities with me. But one of his true loves were Western movies. And in this Christmas, I remember waking up and hanging next to my bed was this cowboy costume, which was the coolest thing ever. The hat, the vest, the belt buckle with the holsters, the 2 cap gun revolvers. And I couldn't believe I'd got this. And immediately put it all on and then went through to the living room where the tree was and Santa had been. And not only did Santa bring me a Lone Ranger figure, which I don't know if it was Gabriel or Mark's, but you know the figure, right? But Santa also brought my dad a really nice cap gun revolver. And that was one of the few times my dad was able to engage with me playing. So he had his really cool, I don't know what the model was, but I remember it had a white sort of bow and handle, and the rest of it was black. And mine were obviously silver with sort of brown inlays on the handles. And this was one of the few times that he and I could really engage. So he would hide around the corner and let off a few shots. I would, come out banging away. But that cowboy costume, I must have kept on for about 4 months. And the funny thing is, ironically, it came with a red plaid shirt. So how ironic is that? So that was a real special Christmas for me. And that reminds me that in 2022, I have to get myself another Lone Ranger figure.
Because I swore you were going to say a cowboy outfit, and I would be.
Oh, yeah. No, because I tell you what, those figures came packed. Even he had a little neckerchief. There were like drawstrings on his shirt. He had the holster, the guns, everything. Fantastic figures. Yeah. Those were really well done figures. And I don't think I got silver, but I definitely remember having the Lone Ranger and that Tonto.
Yeah. I know I had the Gabriel ones of those too. I might have had a horse. I was always kind of been fascinated with that. Yeah.
So I'm assuming America got Gabriel and the UK must have got, was it Mark's was the company? I think. I'll need to look into that. But yeah, that is definitely one of my favorites. And
I know Mark's made a line of figures called Best of the West. I had some of those when I was a kid. So I don't know if that's
right.
Possibly, same thing or not.
Yeah. But there was just something about the smell of a cap gun going off.
Yes.
That is up there with the smell of a brand new Kenner TIE Fighter pilot for me.
And it's got to be the paper caps too. The paper caps had the best smell.
Yeah. Although I remember after this Christmas, getting a cap gun revolver that took the plastic
rings
actually did revolve with each shot. Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. The one I had was like made of steel. It was like machined steel. It was nice, gritty, gray color. The handle was real buff. And it felt like a real gun. And of course, it was one of the last years you could get one of these things. Because in the States, we started doing all the orange stuff, which I'm glad that kids didn't die anymore. But I went, like, my dad got me like 100 pack of these. And I went through them like less than a week. Just like, and, and he would be like, all right, I'm not going to buy that many at a time. So we'd come home with like Here's a
a
20
5-pack.
pack. This is going to last you 2 weeks. Okay.
In fact,
so ration yourself some.
Yeah, I just remembered. I just remembered that same Christmas. I also got a cap gun rifle, and to this day, I can still remember the action of pulling it down to load the cap, pulling the cap through, bringing the hammer back, resting it on, closing it up, and banging away. And I remember quite distinctly one roll of caps cost 3 pence at the local newsagent. And if you were really fancy and you bought 10 at a time, they would give you them in a plastic tube.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh wow, those were the days.
Yep.
Yeah. So
we could sell a kid blanks.
Yeah.
Basically.
So believe it or not, we have now surpassed the 2-hour mark, and for me that just flew by.
Yep.
What an absolute blast. So I need to say thank you to these wonderful guests. Thank you for the very, very, very kind super chats. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you to the moderators. Hopefully there wasn't too many problems. I didn't really see any on my end.
I didn't see any.
I have seen lately on other live streams, they have been creeping in again, which is absolutely pathetic. And I will maintain the worst one I ever saw was on the Holly Chronicles charity live stream. The stuff that was popping up was just despicable.
It was awful.
And if that is what makes you happy, then you are a very sad individual. So with that said, thank you to everyone. Thank you all. Thank you to the guests. And this sadly was it. This is the last Christmas live stream of 2021. There will be more next year. So hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had as much fun as I did. So to Jim, Carl, and Pete, thank you guys. And
thank you.
Very well,
everyone watching, hope you all have a wonderful, very Merry Christmas. Before we go, though, just give these guys a chance to promote what they have. So, Jim, anything coming up for your YouTube?
Yes, I'm doing a live stream Christmas morning from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And it'll be a much requested appearance by Mrs. Grindhead, my girlfriend Suze, who will actually be sitting in frame next to me. And we're going to show our presents to each other. We have some gifts to unbox during the stream and just spread the cheer. So we hope to see you over at the Grindhead Gym channel this Christmas at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Awesome. Now, Pete, you don't have your own channel, but you are appearing on Chris Miwa's channel.
I'm a part of Chasing 80s Toys now. We have the three of us with Jeff Barker, Chris Miwa, and myself are now Chasing 80s Toys. And we have a kind of holiday quick retrospective video dropping, I believe, Christmas Eve.
Oh, fantastic. That's tomorrow. Wow.
Yeah, which is tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow. It's crazy, isn't it?
It's like, no, it's like a week away. No, tomorrow.
So Carl, having dipped your toe into the waters of YouTube, are you on board now? More videos coming?
Yes. I have about 15 ideas in my head right now. Just going to sit down and see what comes to mind first and fumble my way through and see where it goes.
Good stuff.
Modern Toy Collector's Guide to Modern Godzilla Toys. Sorry.
I believe the requests are coming in already.
Yes. So, everyone watching, if you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to these guys' channels. And I just see something come in from Dave. Dave, thank you so much. I just want to say the 4 festive streams have been fantastic. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I really, really do appreciate that. What a kind gesture. So, I could keep going on and giving out all these thank yous and everything, but I probably should wrap things up. So once again, big thank you to everyone, especially these 3 guys on screen, the moderators, the super chatters, and we will see you next time. And how about this? On the count of 3, we say Merry Christmas. Ready?
I like it.
1, 2, 3. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Good night.